And the most ridiculed group in America, political or otherwise, is talk radio, the commentators like myself, as well as the audience. And it's so insulting and so condescending in the way they position things. And that's why they can't stand the Tea Party, because it was actually an actual grassroots movement of people standing up and saying, no more, like Jim Belushi did in The Principal. I'm not encouraging you to watch that movie, but no more! Saw injustice. He was also deeply troubled. Nevertheless, he did something about it. Did you ever see that movie? Yeah. Again, I'll tell the story real quick. He's a teacher. He is a teacher that has a terrible record. He might be part of a union, and so he probably not going to get fired. So they have to move him. By the way, those of you in unions who took that personally, don't. I'm speaking to the power structure, not individual union members who have every right to join a union if it benefits you and you look at what has been promised and the consequences and everything else. I get it. It's not about that. It's about the union leadership and the game they play with the money, as well as lack of accountability, because I think we all, as individuals, being part of a union or not, we want competition. We want to be judged on our merit, and in order to do that, we don't try to monopolize. We don't try to take away people's parents' right to choose what school their kid goes to. Okay? So I had to do that. So he gets put in this school, and this school is full of criminal activity. Louis Gossett Jr. is in it. And he plays the security guard. And well, Jim Belushi tries to do some good, as it is, and good in quotations. But he gives this big speech about no more. And I always like that. I actually like Jim Belushi as an actor. And when he plays that kind of role. So why is that movie like other movies? Why am I even talking about it? Because it's an archetype of the reluctant hero, of the person who gets involved, doesn't want to get involved, but says, you know, if I don't get involved, Jan Michael Vincent in Defiance. Now, I'm really dating myself, but even growing up, I liked that movie. I was a huge fan of Rocky, the series. Rocky 3 was my favorite. Really appreciated the last Rocky Balboa. Rocky 5, not so much. Just not a fan of it. Rocky 4, I Must Break You. Thought some pretty good training scenes. Yeah. Liked it overall. Oh, hey. Computer's acting up on me. Saying, you know, my computer just had to get back to the point. I am making the point. My point is, Americans are the reluctant heroes. That's what you all are. That's why I started the monologue with the idea of how the elites, oftentimes the mainstream media, characterize you. Those on the left who use the levers of power and coercion as opposed to persuasion because they can't sell their goods anymore because you've exposed them with the light of truth and actually have taken action within the legal process. Even though you're accused of all these terrible isms and this, you get involved and you do something. And that's so cool. I love that. That's what we need. I think about this, and I think about how we are given opportunities through crisis, and how we were in this country, the frog in the pot, and it was slowly rising. Well, it's been jacked up. It's turned up to 11, and it's hot. And what's hot? The attacks on our liberty, the government way outside its bounds constitutionally. I would argue, especially, take a good look at the Heverling case, Social Security and Medicare unconstitutional. What was promised, what was done, what was the original intent of the program, and what it grew to. You know what the defense by people who don't want to acknowledge what I said in the substance of it? You know what they say? So you just want to get rid of Medicare? You just don't. What about all those people? No, never. See, I believe like you believe. It's important to be responsible for what you've lined up and give a transition, a place for transition. 6.2% solution, Cato Institute, pretty good start when it comes to Social Security, Medicare, a way to phase. And again, I would get completely out of it because I believe that we can do a lot better with our money in our hands than the government, and we should be responsible to ourselves and responsible to God as the body of Christ to recognize how dare we make an agreement with the government that they're going to take care and manage those in need, especially with the two most powerful things in the sense of power of control, their income, retirement, and their health care in their most vulnerable years. How is it? I mean, just think about that for a moment. Most vulnerable years, and you want to allow the government. You don't have a constitutional right to it, by the way. Nestor case, Fleming versus Nestor. I don't know. But the Social Security, we don't. They tell us it's in the lockbox. It's full of IOUs, and the idea of people speaking up against that, and we're $17 trillion in the hole, and the government's promising more, and we're the whack jobs. Really?